Yeah, Beastman, what are you doing here?
Um, Hello, Skeletor. I was wondering if we had any more Tupperware containers.
Yes, there are loads of Tupperware containers in the cupboard above the sink. Why?
Uh, I've done a particularly impressive poo, and I don't want it to dry out when I put it in the fridge.
Oh, okay. Beastman,
Yes, Skeletor?
have you had a haircut?
No, Skeletor?
Oh, have you brushed your teeth?
No, Skeletor. I've never done that.
Oh, it's just that you look a bit different.
Oh.
I like it.
Thank you, Skeletor.
Don't thank me. I dislike you immensely. Get out of my sight before I beat you.
Yes, Skeletor.
Right. Hello, everybody. Let's get on with the show. Greetings! I am Skeletor, and welcome back to SkeleTalk, the series where I answer your questions. It's the internet's best-kept secret. Right. Retro Toy Guy Sai kicks things off with a most important question. He asks, Boobs? Yes, boobs. Thank you for the question. Stephen Gray has a couple of questions. Number 1, when you were in the toy shop, did you or any of the other action figures ever spare a thought for poor old Ken, stuck in the girls section with all those hot babes? No, the jammy sod. We envied him immensely. He had the run of the best chicks, Barbie, Cindy, Gem and the Holograms, to name but a few. We used to point at him and mock him for being a sissy, but in actual fact, he usually had the last laugh by getting his leg over after the shop had closed. In case you're wondering, Gem was his favourite fumble partner, much to Barbie's annoyance. One can only imagine how much more popular he would have been had he owned a penis. And question 2. Does boiling soup really impair the flavour, or is this simply the ramblings of a soup nutcase? Well, Stephen, I'm afraid this is true. Boiling soup causes impurities to diffuse into the liquid and can cause a bitter taste, or prevent the flavour from developing properly. And I would happily list my favourite soups, but I don't want to give Whiplash a panic attack right at the start of the episode. Thanks for the question, Stephen. The Fly Attractor writes, you are forced to spend a weekend in one of these 3 establishments. Faulty Towers Hotel, when they are only serving meals with horseradish, the Red Dwarf spaceship millions of years in the future, or Castle Duckula on a wet weekend. A soggy weekend at Castle Duckula sounds ideal. The setting is lovely, and Count Duckula is great fun to hang out with. There is never a dull moment, and he is my second favourite duck. Thanks for the question, Fly Attractor. Weapon Zero is curious how I split my time between Earth and Eternia. Well, I spend 70% of my time on Eternia and 25% of my time on Earth at the Monkey Boy Nest. The remaining 5% of my time is usually spent in a secret location within the Zeta Reticuli star system. However, because I use a complicated time displacement portal to travel between these locations, it preserves the timelines, so it appears that I have never left. It does make my working day extremely long, but it means I can get a lot of stuff done. Thanks, Weapon Zero. Steve Jones asks, when disciplining a minion, do you prefer alternating or direct current? Good question. I usually prefer DC because I like watching incompetent minions flying across the room with a bang. However, Beastman is quite resistant to DC, so with him I prefer to poke a cable up his bum and deliver an AC shock. His anus is forced to clench around the cable, and he does a funny dance, which is incredibly amusing. Thanks for the question, Steve. New contributor Jason of Walkershaw has 2 questions. Number 1, why is your portrait so small in most of your thumbnails? Are you afraid, if made larger, it would attract the wrong element? No, Jason. In fact, if you watch any one of my videos, you will see that the show is already attracting the wrong element. I only appear in most thumbnails as a formality, and to provide a bit of colour and visual interest. And question 2. Can you smoke, or does the smoke escape through your eye holes before you can get it to your lungs? Good question. I can smoke without any difficulty. I sometimes enjoy a cigar on special occasions, but on the whole, I prefer to vape, as I like all the different flavors. Sadly, I cannot blow smoke rings because I don't have any lips. Technically, this means I can't actually smoke properly, but let's pretend that I haven't just contradicted myself. Hopefully, nobody will notice if I distract them with a photo of a squirrel. Thanks for getting in touch, Jason, and welcome to the channel.
Skeletor!
What, Whiplash?
Jason has one more question.
What? That's outrageous.
I know, Skeletor. I don't think he knows about the 2-question limit.
Well, I shall allow it because I'm in a very good mood today.
Oh, thank you, Skeletor.
Shut up, Whiplash. You know I'm in a very bad mood today. Get out of my sight before I beat you.
Yes, Skeletor.
Right. Jason's naughty third question is, when someone writes in all caps, do you see it as shouting? If so, whose voice do you hear in your head? Yes, Jason, I do. And the voice I hear is that of the late Christopher Hitchens. And I like it. Thank you for the too many questions, Jason. Another Jason has some more questions for me. This time, it's Jason Raphael Murdoch. Question 1. Mr. Spock, Mr. Magoo, or Mr. T? Which one would you have give Whiplash a bath? Oh, definitely Mr. T. Anytime there's an option involving Mr. T, always choose T, unless the situation concerns planes or fools. And question 2. Dungeons and Dragons, Gotham, or Cybertron? At which place would you rather end up being stranded without your magic? I think Gotham. I'd be quite capable of dealing with its hoodlums with my bare hands. I don't much fancy my chances against mythical beasts or giant robots. Thanks for the questions, Jason. I see we have another rule breaker asking too many questions, and this time it's premium ninny Gerard O'Connor demonstrating to you all how to be a ninny. Please, do not follow his example. I am only allowing his third question because I pity him. Anyway, question 1. Are you afraid of spiders more so than leprechauns? Yes, of course. Spiders are the most horrifying things that mankind has ever invented. And question 2. Do you know Pennywise, and can you hit him up on your handheld device? Yes, I do. And yes, I can. The question is, will I? And the answer is yes. I'll just grab my phone. Right. I assume you're referring to Pennywise the Dancing Clown from the 1990 television adaptation of the 1986 horror novel It by American author Stephen King. Okay, here we go. Right, it's ringing.
Hello?
Hello, Pennywise the Dancing Clown from the 1990 television adaptation of the 1986 horror novel It by American author Stephen King. It's Skeletor.
Hello, Skeletor. What can I do for you?
Well, I want to know what your poos are like. Are they colourful?
Yes, and they all float.
Of course they do, and that's the best joke in the show. Goodbye, clown. Right, there we go, Gerard. I hope that helps. You also ask who I have on speed dial. Well, I have 100 characters and celebrities on speed dial and hundreds more in my contacts list. Chances are, if you've heard of them, I have their number. Thanks, Gerard. Have a silly day. Alex James has a couple of short questions. Number 1. Do your minions get on well with each other? For the most part, yes, although some work better together than others. Nobody really likes hanging out with Stinkor except Trackjaw and Beastman, who for some reason aren't incapacitated by his stench. Panther is quite choosy about his companions and generally only cooperates with myself, Evil Lyn and Beastman. Evil Lyn prefers to work with me or by herself, as she is very independent. Question 2. Is Whiplash's favourite movie of all time The Never-Ending Story? No, it isn't. You have 2 guesses left. Thanks for the questions, Alex. Mike Ciccone makes editing difficult with too many words, but that's not my problem. He writes, Dear Skeletor, do you drive yourself around or employ a chauffeur? If you were to train Beastman or Whiplash to be that driver via medieval stretching torture, would that be rack and minion steering? Well, Mike, I acknowledge your wordplay and congratulate you. Very good. In answer to your first question, I usually prefer to drive or fly myself around, but sometimes I delegate this to a minion if I want to play on my phone or have a little sleep. Thanks for the questions, Mike. The legend that is Des T has a couple of inquiries. Firstly, what items of Monkey Boy's would you put in a time capsule, and maybe some items from your minions? Well, I would choose Monkey Boy's vintage Kenner Star Wars figures, his vintage MOTU figures, his Ghostbusters storybook, his Mr. Men books, and a packet of pickled onion Monster Munch. The time capsule would, of course, be massive. However, there would be no room for any of my minions' items, except perhaps a mason jar containing some of Beastman's poo. Des also writes, We often see you make calls, but what is your ringtone of choice? Good question. That would be the theme tune to Knight Rider. Thanks for the questions, Des. Andrew asks how involved I am in the MOTU movie that is apparently getting a release date of June 2026. Well, Andrew, I have not yet been asked for my input, and to be honest, I'm still skeptical about the reality of the project. They've been talking about it for at least 10 or 12 years, so I'll believe it when I see it. The story sounds like a load of shit, which isn't a good start. I think we should curb our enthusiasm in preparation for a massive disappointment. Thanks, Andrew. Finally, Nick from the Action Popcast sees us out with the following disturbance. Who would you rather kiss? Me, Monkey Boy, or comedic actor Nick Frost? You have to pick one or your balls will turn pink. Well, sir, it looks like you'll have my pink balls to worry about, because I cannot pick any of the options. I am not able to kiss anything, because I have no lips. Right, that's the end of the episode. If you enjoyed it, please take half a second to give it a thumbs up. I strongly discourage the sharing of the channel, because this would spoil everything. However, if you are not yet subscribed, then you should rectify this immediately. And don't forget to leave me a comment or a question for next week. Right, I'm off to show everybody my pink balls. See you next time. Bye!
Get out of my sight before I beat you.